Okay. All right. So I was cut off, and while I was still um, recording the previous. Um, so sorry about that. So okay. So I believe at the ending, or at the near closing of the previous video, um, the one immediately before this, I the topic I was the topic I was the topic I was focusing on was about why I had included this constructor here, this one that lacks any arguments, even though I already had another, even though I already have a constructor here, right? Even though um, I had written one myself, and the reason why I brought up that topic is I believe, as I had mentioned in the previous video, but I'm not exactly sure because I'm not exactly because the video was cut off, and I'm not sure the the part of the video in which I had um, mentioned this. If it was cut off, I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember. But the reason why I brought up that topic of why I had included this this a constructor here with no arguments, or no parameters rather, is because um, I feel like it was questions were then raised as to why I would, right, because I had immediately before um, I had asked, why would I go about including this constructor if I had said like there if why would I have included this constructor, right? If I have one here, and I had basically said that this is a constructor automatically supplied by default, right? Hence the name default constructor. And the reason why I actually included this, and I began to um, I began to um, talk about this um, at the near closing interview. But I sort of troubled. I sort of had trouble there at the ending in mentioning this. Um, so I'll basically I'll mention it again here. So the reason why I included this constructor here was because I had said that it would be illogical, or basically it wouldn't be a well justified decision to include a or to basically um, it wouldn't be a well justified decision to include um, a construct a it wouldn't it basically if you have in if users okay, so basically, without further speculation, right? So basically, without further speculation, if you assume, if you merely assume that that let's say if I had basically if I had so basically if um if if you basically if it's basically it's an ill justified um it would be a bad decision, or a decision lacking any justification to um think that to think that the number of arguments, or it will be a bad assumption to make, right? So if you make this if you were to make this have this if you were to decide this based upon reasoning, then that would be fine. But if you simply do this, or if you simply do this without further speculation or just by mere assumptions, then that's when I would say that this would be an under or an under or basically an insufficiently justified decision. So and the decision and basically what I mean here is that if you decide to um, if you sim it would be it would be it would be bad or simply wrong to assume that the number of parameters um, or arguments that your constructor has or contains um, would be the would be the sole number of arguments or parameters that would be um, logical or practical in use, right? So what I mean here is that if it would basically be bad for me to assume from the user standpoint and also from a programming standpoint to assume that the number of parameters that this constructor contains would be the only amount of constructors that the user would that the user would want to or that would be logical for the user to include, right? So and so basically, if I see that there's an opportunity that a that let's say that there could be rightfully a different number of parameters, then that's when I should go about creating a different constructor, right? But it doesn't necessarily have to be a constructor similar in form to the default constructor, right? If it is a it can be, but but only if but only if a but only if zero arguments would then be a practical inclusion in terms of the number of parameters for a constructor used in the creation of an object. So basically, if I believe here that when I go about actually creating an object, that it would be logic that um, that that would be that would be I guess fine or okay or logical to for there to only be zero parameters, then that's when I could or x parameters, and that's when I could create another constructor with x parameters aside from this one that I already have created here. And the reason why I brought this up was because let's say the reason why I mentioned this was because let's say if the user wants to enter let's say if it will be okay for there to be zero parameters and I mean okay by what I mean by okay is that the object could still be properly developed even with there only being um, zero parameters, and in this case there is, right, because a if the user the user if um, the user they could simply um, enter only zero parameters, and then I can simply but that wouldn't create an avoidance to the proper development or the full development um, of of the object in creation. So basically, what I mean by this is that like if I can't so basically here in in if the user were to have zero if the user were to or if an object were to be created using this constructor, then we would have to worry about this variable not being initialized, right? And if we can logically and if in our class's development, if it supports later initialization of a variable, like initialization of a variable after the actual explicit calling of a constructor or invokement of a constructor within the statement in which an object is created, then that's when I would say that it's okay to feature a constructor in your class's definition that only has zero parameters. And I believe I'm out of time, so I will continue this